In this episode, Golden and I discuss the Netflix animated series, The Dragon Prince. Full speed ahead. Welcome to the Omega Beam number 95. I'm your host, Oren Merton. I hope everyone is healthy and well. So, had you heard about the Netflix original animated series called The Dragon Prince? It's one of those series that it seems like animation buffs have been excited about it for a while, but it's been under the radar for the rest of us. I heard about it from people I know who really like it and from blogs. So we thought, since there's not a ton of shows, it'd be worth giving a watch. We don't go into heavy spoilers or anything. We talk about the plot and the characters, but really nothing more than that. So if you haven't seen it, don't worry. You're good to go. And let's get to it. I am here with Golden to talk about the Netflix animated series, The Dragon Prince. One that kind of flies under the radar. I don't think it's a huge hit, but maybe it should be.
I don't exactly remember why I put it on my to-watch list, but so as IMDb says, this is the plot. Two human princes forge an unlikely bond with the elfin assassins and kill them, embarking on an epic quest to bring peace to their warring lands. And that's a nice plot without giving away too much.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. I had read about this online. Some of the people that I follow and all had talked about how good it was. So I knew that it was there, and I knew it was supposed to be high quality. But I hadn't watched it because, there's so many things to watch. We can't watch everything. But then I just saw it on your list, and you saw it on your list, and we were like, you know what? Let's give this a chance. And I am very glad we did.
Yeah, I think that we had to temper ourselves not to just binge the whole thing. Right. So we did actually take our time with it. And I can't actually really speak more highly of it.
It's an incredible show. There's currently 3 seasons of 9 shows each. So and they're half-hour shows. So there's not an incredible amount of content, but there's enough that you wouldn't want to sit there and watch them all at one time because it'd basically be your whole day.
Or you might want
Or maybe you would want to, yeah. But it's well divided out, I think, into arcs. So I think there were very, very convenient places to watch a few and then set it aside for a little while.
Yeah, and it has a rating of 7 in terms of what age group, which is really, really neat. I mean, it's TV Y7, so saying, 7 years and older, but yet the writing is very well done. It's not dumbed down.
Right. The writing's adult.
It's still simple enough that someone who's young is going to understand it.
Right.
But like I was telling you, there were times that we were sitting there watching that I was like, that line is just perfect.
Yeah.
Because the interactions between the characters really are more realistic and just grounded in how would people react to one another, joking around, sarcasm. Oh, this is your friend that you've known for 20 years. This is something that you might say to that person. Mm-hmm. And to me, it wasn't something that I usually see in animation.
Right.
Not even in, I would say, live action.
Sure, especially for kids. I think one of the things this series does so well is, first of all, like any good show, it has an incredibly engaging plot. It has 3-dimensional and really engaging characters.
Yeah, the characters are continually developing. And as we talked about previously, off of this podcast, there's an instance where one of the main characters, Callum, is very upset with something that Rayla was withholding. And when he goes and tries to share that with his brother, he then realizes just how difficult it has been for her. And the fact that he can actually, I would say that most animation or most TV would be like, okay, we're gonna let this like really draw out, and this is just gonna be a confrontation and struggle, but no, it's just this is what happened, and he realizes that was really difficult. I think I get it.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things I've said in many other podcasts on the Omega Beam is that one of my pet peeves is when characters do things stupidly out of character to move a plot. And I don't think anybody in this entire show did anything out of character just to move the story. That everything any character did made sense for who they were and made sense for what was happening at the time. And one of the great things that they showed is people being willing to modulate. Early in the series, we see the two princes, Callum and Ezran. Their aunt is very protective, and when she perceives Rayla, the woman that
the elf,
that the assassin who was sent to kill them,
you basically have the two boys and Rayla, who elves and humans aren't supposed to get along. They're supposed to be on opposite sides. And Rayla was actually tasked at the very beginning of this is not giving anything away, at the very beginning of the season with this other group of elves that when they put these bands on their wrists, it is a bond. The only way that those will fall off is if the quest is complete. So you know that one of the bands is to kill the king. And you figure out, and like I said, I don't really feel like this is given away. You figure out the other one, because they even say they want to kill the heirs. Well, you have the king and you have Ezran. So you know that the other one is Ezran. And it doesn't really, she's with the person that she's supposed to kill. And she's trying to help this person. So you have them already going against what their people believe.
Yeah. So getting back to the
aunt being protective.
The aunt being protective, when she first runs into Rayla, she is incredibly activated. She's a military woman, and she immediately...
And she thinks that she has kidnapped the boys, right?
Yeah. She thinks that, she needs to defend them against this elf. And then many, many, many episodes later, towards the end of the series, she runs into the elf again, and she's about to be as protective as she was before when Callum stands up and says, No. We're all friends. It's all good.
And she's been through enough by that point.
Right.
That she's not seeing the people from the Zadians as just black and white anymore.
Right. And she's able to very quickly pivot to being like, oh, okay, that's fine then.
And I don't know if we mentioned that the aunt is unable to speak.
Yeah, the show does a very good job of showing us just an incredibly diverse array of characters. There's, like you said, her aunt is mute and speaks via sign language. Other people,
there's no problem hearing.
She can hear. She speaks to other people via sign language. You have complete ethnic mix.
And if you don't speak sign language, there are times that you're not going to understand what she's saying.
Exactly.
Because they don't always translate everything that she says. But she does have an interpreter with her quite often.
Right. And speaking of humor, it does allow her to sign things that are very clearly profanity that the writers can just not translate.
They probably aren't profanity, because if you did have a little kid that understood sign language, so it's probably
mock profanity.
It's probably very intelligently worded,
right?
That a little kid wouldn't understand it, but an adult would.
Right. It's incredibly ethnically diverse. The king is black, the main king of the main human kingdom. So Ezran is half black, because Ezran's mother, who is also Callum's mother, is white. Callum's father we never hear about, but he's clearly white because Callum is white.
Yeah, if we heard about it, I was trying to listen for it, then I might have missed it. But
and the same with elves. The elves are also very ethnically diverse.
But both Callum's mother and aunt also look a little Asian.
Mm-hmm. They do.
So, I mean, they don't hold back on how they draw different characters.
Sure.
And even with the rulers of the different kingdoms, you end up with this young girl who is a ruler, and how she acts within the council is just really remarkable. And you have a variety of elves and with different, and I think they have a lot of fun with just picking up different accents and deciding, okay, we're going to use this accent for these people. We're going to use this accent for these people. And it's just, that's their accent.
Yeah, it's done very well. It's very diverse. And I think as far as this being acceptable for children as well, I think what they're trying to do, and successfully, is to not preach, but just show them a world in which a diversity of characters all live together and accept each other's differences without it being a thing. And I think
part of it is also that, the humans have always been told the Zadians are bad.
Right.
The Zadians have always been told the humans are bad.
Right.
So they have that belief in each other and these three integral characters kind of get to discover right away that doesn't have to be.
Right.
And it was a nice breath of fresh air. I think this is the perfect time for it.
Right. And there is a fair amount of action. I mean, we should mention...
There's a fair amount of action. There's several different storylines. You have lots of different characters, like we were saying, that are moving the story along. You have the dark magic user, which was a friend of their father's, Viren, and he has 2 children, Claudia and Soren. And Soren's the, kind of the big dumb jock.
Right.
And Claudia is the learning the magic from her father, who is continuously kind of struggling. And I still think at the end of the 3rd season, she may have picked a side, but I think there's still a little bit of a struggle. I know you feel that she's like completely gone off the deep end and into whichever side she chose. And I think that was very interesting. You have this other character, Corvus, who's sent out to try and by the aunt, to try and find the kids, to protect them. And he also has his own little epiphany along the way. There's just a lot of really great character moments. And Ezran is young, so people don't always listen to him when they should.
Yeah, and when we say young, we're talking not like 16. I mean, Callum may be 15 or 16, but his little brother Ezran's probably
definitely under 10.
Yeah, he seems.
I would
very,
say
very
maybe
young.
like 7 or maybe between 8 and 10. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. As far as the style of the animation goes, the co-creator of The Dragon Prince was also one of the head writers of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it kind of has that style. It's sort of a bit of a blend between maybe Western animation and anime style.
Yeah, no, I really love the animation. I think they did a really great job.
Incredibly good animation.
I don't think that I think it's its own thing, and it may be very akin to the Airbender series, Avatar, but I don't know because we haven't watched that one yet, but I've heard good things about that one as well. It has very thoughtful, there's a lot of thought in this.
Yeah. And it's coming back. The last season just a year ago or whatever dropped, and it was recently renewed, not for 1, not for 2, but I believe for 4 more seasons. So this show is definitely going to be going on for a while.
Yeah, there's only a total of 27 episodes so far, so it is just really, you have quirky elves, you have quirky humans, you have just really interesting characters.
Right.
And you have Callum. Callum's struggle is wanting to do magic, but not wanting the cost of the dark magic.
Well, I think for that to make more sense, we should explain and this is in the very, very intro of the entire series, episode 1, the prologue, is that in this world, elves and dragons and the Zadia side of the non-human world, they each have inbuilt magic. The
Zadians have magic within.
They have what's called the arcanum, that they can reach.
They can draw from the elements.
Right. Humans do not have that. But so on the one hand, that immediately creates a sense of jealousy. But then humans do develop magic.
Oh, and the Zadians are superior to humans.
Absolutely.
Don't forget that.
And then the humans do discover how to make magic, but the only way they can do it is by killing something that has magic. Basically, they have these little butterflies.
I don't even think it has to have magic. It's just using the life.
It could be. And then they, have to crush these little butterflies or whatever they've got.
In death comes magic.
And then they can cast spells, and it's, dark magic because they're doing it by killing other things. And the Zadians think that this is absolutely the most abhorrent thing they have ever heard of, because magic should either come from within or don't bother with it.
Just from the intro, the split really between the humans and the Zadians occurred when the humans really started drawing on this dark magic. We're kind of given an ultimatum saying you need to stop. And instead, the dragon king is killed. The Zadians are very upset because not only is the dragon king killed, but they also destroy their egg.
And hence the adventure. And
Yes.
it goes from there. So it is a rich world, and it does feel very lived in, and it's an interesting plot that I haven't seen done in a million other ways in a million other stories. It's original enough, and it's sort of got the zany humor that will appeal to kids, while the dialogue and everything else is more adult. Like Golden was saying, it doesn't talk down to anyone. So I can see a kid watching this, learning from it, not because it's a preachy, teachy kind of cartoon, but just because they see it modeled in front of them, and they
see what's modeled is that you have struggles and you work through your struggles together.
Right. And the series ends on a completion of the sort of initial story arc, while still
leaving many doors open. There's a door open on the left, there's a door open on the right.
Right. So you very much see, even though they wanted to make sure you got a complete story in case this was it, they also wanted to make sure, if they did get more, that there was much richness from here.
Yeah, the only thing that bothered me throughout the entire series was something that is said by one of the characters that speaks only in the last episode. I just didn't quite feel like the lines that were written, or maybe it was just how they were said, really fit the feel of these series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you kind of were put off by that.
I caught
but I don't
want to. Well.
I don't want to say what that was.
Yeah,
I want you to enjoy it, and
right.
I want you to have fun watching it. It is definitely one that anytime I'm talking to anyone that I know that watches animation at all or has kids, I'm saying, hey, this is a great series. You should check it out.
This is a really great show, and I'm glad to see it continue. I'm glad that it didn't end with the 3 that are up on Netflix now. But if you've got Netflix, it's not a long watch. Each episode being 30 minutes, you don't have to give a single episode all that much time, but you are going to find that some episodes end on such cliffhangers. You're going to be like, okay, well, one more. Okay, well, maybe one more. Okay, just the next one.
And the actress that voices Rayla was born in Scotland.
Was she?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that Scottish accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great Scottish accent, and it's in fact legit.
And it's just fun that these elves just happen to have this accent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It gives you a really nice sense of regionality. One of the things about the world that this takes place in is, a lot of fantasy involves a lot of travel. And it doesn't feel like they're just moving from one set to another. It really feels like they're crossing big distances into completely new regions.
There were times towards the end I was just like, how did they get there that quickly?
They took the shortcut.
Yeah, they took Mrs. Todd's shortcut.
Exactly. So it goes.
And no, it's a lot of fun, and you might want jelly tarts after watching it, or Hamantaschen.
I was going to say, one of the nice things about this this series is it really has just a ton of great sort of real world ethnic things in it. Like a lot of the writing, if you watch like the superhero cartoons, a lot of the writing, it's just like blocks, it's just gibberish or blocks or shapes. But in the Dragon Prince, most of the fake writing is in Arabic. It is the actual script of Arabic, and the jelly tarts look like, traditional Eastern European Jewish Hamantaschen cookies. And I like how they added these little, things here and there to give it both a multicultural and a real world flavor that we can understand. And, it made me want a lot of Hamantaschen while watching it.
So no, it's definitely a fun show, and I easily recommend it.
Very recommended. Very, very recommended. Thank you, Golden.
You're welcome.
And that's it for this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/95. If you like this episode, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It's those reviews that help people who like this stuff find our podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.